EHR vendors, we sell sadness. Or historically we have. No one wants to use an EHR, except for the biggest nerds. You want to engage with the patients. That's why you went to med school. You get intrinsic rewards from actually helping people. The EHRs, like even at our best, Dan and I, we are hamstrung by the requirements that the federal government puts into place, the state government puts into place, and the big bad guys, the insurance company. All right. Most of the time when George goes and sees a patient, he's a click monkey for Blue Cross or United or whoever else, because he has to click these things and do this stuff, some of which has to do with actual care, but most of the time you're proving that you didn't cheat on your coding, all right, which you don't, pediatricians just don't, and that you were doing some sort of community or like large scale health measurement, all right, that is not usually done very well. What a pediatrician wants to do is help kids. And we are finally at a point, and we're at this horizon where some of the communication among the EHRs, and it's not the EHRs, the communication among the health systems, the hospitals and the labs and the players in the room, they're finally getting to a point where we can exchange data sometimes. And when that happens, this is what Dan was talking about. When that happens, and he gave a really good specific example. I bet I could go out and talk to any one of my clients right now, any one of my clients who's knowledgeable about type 1 diabetes and say, help me build a care plan for this. And I get a decent one. Okay. Problem is, how do you get that into the hands of your patient? How do you get that care plan approved by Blue Cross Blue Shield to be the thing that you check in on every month and get paid for? Because it's not appropriate to ask you to keep doing work for free. It's all of those other elements, and we are starting to get close to that stuff. We have portals now. We have better web developed tools that make it easier for you to maybe not just contact and work with this one family, but talk to the 50 families in your practice. 10 years ago, 20 years ago, what did Dan Feitan have to do when he wanted to manage the type 1 diabetics in his practice? 3 of them he had dinner with every night, but the other 24, he had to pick up the phone and call those moms. And that's a big pain. That's a big pain. Now we're getting close and we're starting to get real impact. And I'll say this, we've already seen a massive improvement in the volume of, or the coverage of well visits nationally. All right. The well visit coverage 15 years ago was pathetic. All right. And everyone complains about all the, about all the work you have to do during well visits. But you know how many kids we catch with depression screening every year, even though we're still pathetic at it? We catch those kids and fix the problem before it ends up in the news. That's what we're talking about here, which is screening kids for diabetes so we can catch them before it's too late and improve the study work that needs to be done. And so these kids can keep their endogenous cells and actually have a chance of putting this in our rearview mirror. Like this is the first time in my life where I've actually been like, oh my gosh, if we could put this in the rearview mirror for all of these families, what's that worth? That's so much more important than, is it a 99213 or whatever silliness that we have to worry about in our space that you guys have to worry about. This is actually saving lives and changing lives. We're on the cusp of it, and it's exciting. It only took me, 35 years, it's job, but here we are.
The clicking part of the EHR, a lot of people don't like, but I think that's where the important part of the EHR is. That's where your diagnoses and the population health comes in. The nuisance,
you have to do it right. You have to play the game right.
Yes. The nuisance part is the white boxes, the storytelling and the plan. That's what takes time, and that's what physicians hate. If you can somehow get rid of that, I'll gladly click all your boxes because it takes me 2 minutes and I can still talk to people.
I think what we need to do is show the connection between those boxes that they click and the outcome. Like when you do this right, when you keep track of things clinically in your practice, what are the advantages? How are kids being helped? Right now it's too much. They told me so, and I got to click these things. You don't know. You don't get feedback. You can't tell.